The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his apostles, "Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Whoever receives you receives me. And whoever receives me receives the one who sent me. Whoever receives a prophet because he is a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And whoever receives a righteous man because he is a righteous man will receive a righteous man's reward. And whoever gives only a cup of cold water to one of these little ones to drink because the little one is a disciple, amen, I say to you, he will surely not lose his reward." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
My dear brothers and sisters, let us contemplate of this theme of the readings today, the crown of the cross. The crown of the cross. If you have seen or watched or attend a beauty pageant, the number one will be crowned with the crown on her head to show she's a champion. She won the victory. She got a reward. But the beauty pageant crown decorated beautifully with diamonds, with a lot of pearls, with white gold, with very artistic. But have you ever thought a crown that rewarded to the champion of a beauty pageant looks very similar to the thorn that Jesus wore on the cross? Also had the decoration in a different way. So people often talk, many of our friends outside the church, when hearing Jesus teaching his apostles about taking up the cross, people misunderstood about the value of the cross. For many generations and many people, the cross is the sign of pain, loss, suffering, bleeding, dying. If it is as such, why God let Jesus to take the cross and die? If the cross is such a sign of losing, why did Jesus ask the apostles to carry the cross? No one would want his or her beloved to be the loser. So focusing on the meaning of this teaching will reward us so much. First, the context of the gospel reading Matthew described that Jesus said to his apostles. You know, in the scripture, especially in the New Testament, the audience is very important because the New Testament was written for some certain readers, some particular audience. Then it became popular for all. But originally it was written, it was retelling for some audiences. So today, Matthew wrote very clear, Jesus did not tell everyone. You remember some days we hear the scriptural passage, Jesus said to the crowd, to many people. Some days we hear Jesus said to some persons. Some days Jesus said to his disciples. Today he said to his apostles. You see the differences. The apostles were those people have been trained from being disciples. The crowd are very general public audience. Among those crowd, there were some people elected to be followers, going with him. Disciple means follower. So disciples call the leader master because the disciple want his life to be formed in such as his master. After being disciples for a while, Jesus came to know them, they came to know Jesus. He elected a small group of people whom he sent out to represent him, to talk about God, to meet with people, to preach the good news. Those who were prepared to send out to be his representative or his ambassador got the name apostles. Very elected group of people. So when the scriptural writer or author name a particular group of audience, they meant some certain meaning. Therefore, Jesus said, whoever do this will be worthy, or whoever do not do this would not be worthy. This is the list of the categories of becoming Christ. Becoming Christ. Not being Christ, not just becoming. It's the whole process of human life. Maybe today we are good apostles, tomorrow we cannot be. So what makes the difference between today and tomorrow? What can a person be different? We need to make discernment. We need to make the choice. And this is the choice. Taking up the cross is one choice. Taking up a cross is not receiving suffering, but entering the victory, entering the new life. The first reading tells us the story of a prophet, Elijah, who encountered a family. And this is a very beautiful story about mutual relationship, mutual friendship, as the beloved and the lover. You see, Elisha went around and remained into this family. This family gave him a very special treat. Welcome him as a relative, as a household member. Whatever they had, they shared with him. Even a room to sleep in. For Jewish tradition, receiving somebody into the house and let that person become a part of this house is very unique, rare. It doesn't happen like our culture today. Everybody can come to our house, dine and drink and then can take a nap. And in Jewish tradition, it's very unique to receiving somebody into the house. So after a while, Elisha became friends with that family. He thought of giving back. What can I do for this family? They have been too good for me. So this is the mutual relationship, receiving and sharing. And between the receiving and the sharing, there is the bridge, caring. Elisha cared for the family who have been taking a good care for him. The first generosity came from the family. The second generosity came from Elisha. It's a kind of a boring story, but this story upholds what Jesus said to his apostles. What do apostles receive from Jesus? Not money, not a good job, not a condo or studio or apartment, not any vehicles, not any mileage membership to travel. What did the apostles receive from Jesus? The second reading tells us that secret. They received the shareholder in the life of God. Many of you are business people. You're familiar with the shareholder. You don't just have a certain money. You have also the responsibility to make that money become benefit. Correct? That is how they describe the shareholder. You share not only the benefit but also the responsibility to make the profit, to make it benefit. So St. Paul wrote to the Romans that as soon as you baptize, as Christ received the baptism from John the Baptist, you got the shareholder in the life of God, in the divine providence. Therefore, Jesus said taking up the cross doesn't mean that you have to take the suffering, but to sacrifice yourself so you have some empty room to receive more. We need to give out. We need to share so the room can be available to welcome more, to receive more. Therefore, Jesus' teaching to his apostles is all about giving. Give somebody a cup of water. Give somebody the welcoming. Give somebody to let into the relationship with us. It's a challenge for the apostles, for his disciples, for his peers, and for ourselves. Are you ready to give more? Are you ready to empty yourselves so that you can receive more? Think about if today God asks you something from your life, what would be a very valuable gift you can sacrifice? Don't think about the extras. You have a bottle of water walking onto the street in the high heat weather, seeing somebody sitting on the sidewalk selling the lottery, can you share with him some water if you don't have much? Or normally we think we are more important, so we need the water for ourselves. We need a long walk. So if we don't help, some other will come after and help. So let it go beside, and we keep walking straight. How many times in our life that we did not turn to the side and look at somebody who needs us? How many times you walk down the street of Đồng Khởi and suddenly turn around and return to the point to help somebody? How many times in our lives that we cannot think of somebody whom you can help? There are always people around us who need our help. What can you be a good helper if you don't have a lot of money? To be practical, what can a priest help you when he does not have money? Is a caring valuable? Is some concerning valuable? Is some phone call and text message checking on somebody with a good care valuable? Can a good eyes looking at people with empathize valuable? Yes. Even with an empty hand, you can hold another hand and squeeze the hands to make that person feel that I am with you. I am with you. Somebody wrote a status on Facebook that I just skimmed pastly yesterday about the story. There was a man in his retirement. He could not do anything, but in his infirmary retirement home, every day, exact noon, he walked to the chapel and he bows his head before the Blessed Sacrament, and he walks away to his dining room and have lunch every single day. One day, he got to be moved into emergency, and a lot of people went to visit him, asking. The nurses said that as soon as you were admitted into the emergency, everybody felt like you are a good friend of theirs. What happened? He said, well, because I have a very good friend who can share his friends with me. And his friends said, you never travel. It's been 10 years, you never walk out the infirmary. How can you have a good friend? He said, do you remember the first day I moved to the room here in the ICU, I asked the nurse give me 2 chairs, one for anyone to come and visit me can sit, and the other one, very special one, next to my bed. Nobody have seated there. My good friend who came here, sat there every day for 2 minutes. And they called the nurse and who came here and visited him. He said, the nurse said, no, I didn't see anyone. He said, you remember when I was in the infirmary? Every day at noontime, I went to the chapel and I said to Jesus, Jesus, I'm here. And then I went away. Every day, I just wanted to tell him I'm here with him. And then when I could not go to the chapel, he came and he visited me and he said the same thing, hey Jim, I'm here. Through him that I have found many who also heard that, hey, I'm here. The being is so important. The being is so important. Can you and I feel the presence of God in our life? Or each time when we read the gospel, we just think of a demanding of God. Jesus said, you have to do this, you have to do that. You must do this, you must do that in order to get something. But today, Jesus asks a very simple and pure action. Be generous to receive God, to share the values of God in our life. And God is love. God is generosity. Let us pray for one another to become generous. Generous with God when we give God time to think about Him in our life. A moment a day. Even before you go out to date with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, think about God. Come with us. Be with us. So that when we become disagreement with one another, stay in between us. Connect us. Reconnect us when there is some disconnection. Let us be generous to understand that we need to get rid some habits, bad habits, so that we can receive good habits. The good habit in our life is the contrast of selfish. Today, the world today trumps people to be caring for oneself. It's about us. It's about us. So there was a cartoon commenting that, you know why now when you look at the TV or the newspapers, a lot of pictures people wearing masks. I'm not telling about you, don't worry. People wear masks because they're afraid their face can be seen. Their face can be recognized. So that they cover it. It's just a cartoon to talk about the scenario of the world today when the pandemic is still going on. People cover. Ask ourselves, do you want to cover your face before God? Do you want God to cover His face when we come see Him? No. We want to see His real face. So let us live our real faith. Real faith is about others, not about ourselves. The profession of faith, we profess about God. We don't profess about ourselves, even though we profess our belief, but about God. So let us dare to be generosity, be generous. Let us dare to take up the cross, sharing, sacrificing the self so that we can receive the ours. If we dare to take up the cross, the crown is await for us.